Hello everyone, welcome to iExamB. In today's session, we are going to discuss a very interesting topic related to various news you may be reading in the newspapers or hearing on various channels related to trade deficit increasing in our country, Forex reserves decreasing, rupee depreciation happening, rupee almost reaching 80 rupees per dollar, and a news by RBI where it is allowing INR to be used for international trade settlements. So how are these news interconnected? What all it means and why RBI is taking all these steps. So in this session, we are going to understand, try to figure out and help you explain in an easy manner how all these things are co-linked and interrelated. So here is a glimpse of some of the news in different newspapers you would have read. Forex reserves falling to $580 billion level, then trade deficit widening to $26 billion as our imports are rising. The rupee is hit the 80 mark. Yesterday also it was closing at 79.97 and the RBI was intervening to prevent it from crossing that mark. And RBI has been liberalizing norms to boost Forex inflows, and then news related to international trade settlement. Many other things like these you would have been reading in the newspapers. Okay, so first questions from you, and please keep participating as much as you can in this on your live chat. You can keep writing what your understanding is. Okay, so first question, my question to you is, why trade deficit has widened? So we did mention that, the trade deficit has gone up to $26 billion, right? So why has that happened, right? What is exactly trade deficit? Okay, so if we talk about the trade deficit basically is the difference between your exports and your imports, so minus your imports. Okay, so if we are subtracting our exports from imports, that is what gives our trade deficit, right? So there can be various reasons mathematically. If our exports start falling or our imports start increasing, or in our case what has happened, although both have increased, exports have also increased, imports have also increased, the increase in exports has been relatively lower than the imports increase, right? So the gap between the exports and the imports have widened, and we've reached a $26 billion gap. Now, why have this happened? Majorly because, as I said, our imports have increased disproportionately, with the biggest culprit being crude oil. We almost import 85% of our requirement of the need that we have for oil and crude. 85% of it is actually imported, right? So we are dependent a lot on this. And because of the prices rising, because of the war happening, the supply from the Russia end was limited, and therefore there has been an increase in the pricing of crude. At one point now it started to come down for other reasons. Maybe in the comments box you can write why crude oil, when the war has not ended, right now also those things remain the same, then why has crude started to come down now? Any reasons? Please write in the comments box कि आपको क्यों लगता है क्रूड सबसे बिगेस्ट रीजन था. क्रूड एक टाइम पे $100 क्रॉस कर गया था पर बैरल. आज की डेट में क्रूड वापस से नीचे आना शुरू हो गया है. वाई? क्यों? वॉर जबकि इज स्टिल ऑन. So write that in the comments box. Right, so that is the major reason, and crude is not the only reason. There are two more commodities that had added to the increase in our import bill. Those two commodities are coal and the second being gold, right? So gold का love for gold in our country doesn't seem to be subsiding. जबकि हमारे पास अगर investment purpose से अगर हम देखें तो gold के लिए also we have a lot of alternatives, right? So gold में investment, gold का import has increased. Why? Because gold is also considered to be a safe haven. So there is another news that you would have read about inflation. Inflation going up. Now, how does inflation going up impact? Inflation going up, it starts decreasing the value of your money, and therefore to have a better store of value, people start moving to gold as a safe haven, as a store for value of their savings, their money, their wealth. So that is why the import for gold or the demand for gold also went up, because of which the import of gold also went up, right? So that is there, and this is despite the fact that we have other alternatives to invest in gold. But जब inflation hit करता है, when people are scared, they prefer physical gold. At least in India is what we have seen the trend, which has led to increase. So these were three major factors: crude being the first, coal being the second, and third being the gold. So coal भी power की बहुत shortage इस summer में, peak summer में feel was seen, and therefore the demand for coal from the thermal power plants had gone up in our country, जिसकी demand को meet करने के लिए भी हमें import करना पड़ा था. So these were different reasons that led to the trade deficit widening. Now, if I come to the second aspect or the second news that is going down the corner, is why is now the rupee being depreciating, right? Yesterday government ने एक release किया था document जिसमें 2000 से 14 से till present they showed the movement of rupee, right? So rupee has come down, some depreciated from somewhere levels of 63 to almost 80 per dollar now, right? So 63 से 80 per dollar पे आज की डेट में रुपी depreciate हो चुका है over the last 6 years or so. So what has been the reason? But mostly जो depreciation आया है, that we have gone beyond 75, right? Slowly we had been increasing, but जो सबसे major movement हुआ है from 75 to 80, that has been very sharp and very quickly in the last few months. So what have been the reasons? Maybe you can mention. Yeah. So yes, there was an increase in the production was one reason, but another reason for why the crude prices have started falling is also because of the fear of recession, right? So जो भी markets में assets के prices होते हैं, और you know that all of them are determined also not just on the basis of today's demand but also on the future, right? So future supply and demand कैसी होगी? So because of the global recession, with the US, UK seeing almost lifetime highs of inflation in their history ever, and China also slowing down, there are now fears of recession coming in. And what that recession means is that the demand for commodities in future will go down, right? So and yes, supply, on the other hand, we have been trying, US had been trying to approach Gulf countries to push them, and the OPEC countries to push to increase the oil production so as to compensate for whatever the gap has come because of Russia not being able to supply, right? So one side we are trying to push up the supply, and the other side there's a fear that there will not be much demand. So these two factors have actually led to the crude oil prices cooling off or starting to come down. So all these things, market driven things keep happening, and yes, these are also, a lot of them are sentiment based aspects that we have to consider in also, right? So if we talk about now rupee depreciating, right? So rupee depreciating is a combination of lot of factors. One is the foreign flows, right? So the foreign flows, which we commonly call as FII, or the right technical term is FPI, right? So that is the term. FII was the older term that was used. It was replaced by FPI. FPI stands for foreign portfolio investment. FII stands for foreign institutional investment. We continue to use them interchangeably even today. So what exactly this means is foreign money that is coming to invest in our markets, whether it is debt, whether it is equity, whether it are different funds. So all that money that comes in our market for investment, right? So now this money has started to go out. Okay, so when you are pulling out money, basically you are demanding dollars, right? So there is a high or the increase in the demand for dollars, and therefore there is depreciation happening. So that is one big reason. Now you will ask, why are people taking out money even though when India is still one of the fastest growing economies in the emerging world? Or in the first place, why did that money come in? Now that money comes in is because of higher opportunities to earn return in the global market. So if rich people abroad have money and they want to keep increasing their wealth, they need to invest that money, right? So wherever the returns are better, जहाँ पे उनको ज़्यादा फायदा है, जहाँ पे उनकी wealth increase होने के ज़्यादा chances हैं, वो वहाँ पे अपना money invest करते हैं, right? So emerging economies had been one such place, and जो few months back हमारी स्टॉक मार्केट इतना पीक पे थी, breaking all upward records, bull run जिसको बोलते हैं. So that was happening. That was because of a lot of foreign money that was coming in, and now this foreign money is going out. Now the reasons for that foreign money going out, now one may say which happened first, right? Was it the recession thing happening first, or was it the depreciation happening first, or is it a cause or an effect? Actually दोनों होता है, right? So foreign money going out में अगर आपने न्यूज़ एक और सुनी है, US Fed is equivalent to India का RBI, okay? So they take monetary decisions in the US economy, right? So there also inflation is going up, because of which Fed has also increased their rates, okay? So the rates in the US are also, these are policy rates, right? जैसे हम RBI in India, RBI comes out with policy rates like the repo rate, which is indicative of how the interest rates will move and how the returns in our country will move. Similarly, US में Fed also comes out with the policy rates, and these have been going up. The reason for them also going up is all the liquidity that was put in the economy during COVID time, they have to be sucked out. Secondly, because the inflation is becoming a very big problem. The US inflation is actually higher than in India. They have crossed 9%, while we are at around 7% in India, right? So the inflation there is also peaking and going up very fast. So the rates have also been increasing. Now what has that to do with us? The thing that has to do it with us is, now the investors who were bringing money in India, because they could make more money, because the return was better in India, वो अब उनके लिए attractive नहीं है, वो उनके लिए कम हो गया है. Why? Because one, they can get whatever the cost of bringing money, US dollars, to India. It's not like, simple. If there is 70 rupees, say for that, at that time, if 70 rupees was the rate of the dollar, and if they are bringing in 100 million, we just multiply by 70 and say, 7,000 million rupees, which is like actually 70k lakh, or that they have to bring in. If they are bringing 70 lakh, they are bringing in Indian economy, it's not as simple that they will now get 4.9%, which is our current repo rate. They will start earning on this. So this conversion, or the money bringing in, also has a cost associated with it. What are those costs? Conversion cost and hedging costs. Okay, hedging costs Hedging cost relates to the risk of trying to cover the forex risk which the investor will face. So there are various costs associated with bringing the money. So the cost plus the return should be above what you are getting in the US. That becomes the reason for the foreign investors to bring in money. But if this gap starts reducing, because now the US is also giving you higher returns. So if they were giving you 1% earlier, for example, and now they are giving you 3%, and the gap between what you were earning in India and what you were getting in US was initially say 2% and it was worth taking that risk, and now that has come to say 0.5, then it's not worth taking that risk, and therefore they want to go back to their country. Right? So they start pulling the money out. So when they start pulling the money out, that becomes a very big reason for the demand for dollars increasing and therefore the rupee depreciating. So that is one reason. The second reason is going back to how I was talking about things are interlinked. This is about the trade deficit. The reason here I told you was imports going up. So imports going up, you also have to pay for that imports, right? So when you are paying for that imports, you have to pay in dollars, right? So that is the most acceptable currency in the world for any settlement of international trades. So you are again demanding dollars. So the demand for dollars is again increasing from two aspects. One is from our domestic side to fund our imports, and the second is from the foreign investors who want to take their money back and therefore they are demanding. So these are two biggest or the major reasons that have been contributing to the depreciation of rupee or the decline of rupee as we कॉल. सो यहाँ पे ये चीज आपको समझनी होगी. यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस पार्ट कि 63 से 80 पे जाना डेप्रिसिएशन बोला जाता है. इसका मतलब है हमारी करेंसी वीक हो रही है, नॉट स्ट्रॉन्ग. ओके, सो नंबर टर्म्स में ऑल्दो हमें बढ़ता हुआ दिखता है वो नंबर, बट दैट इज पर डॉलर. तो अगर हम पहले डॉलर 70 रुपए देके $1 खरीद सकते थे, आज की डेट में हमें 80 रुपए देने पड़ते हैं. इसलिए वो नंबर इंक्रीजिंग इज कॉल्ड डेप्रिसिएशन, इज कॉल्ड डिक्लाइन, और इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड वीकनिंग ऑफ द करेंसी और वीकनिंग ऑफ द रुपी. Okay, so I hope this is clear till now. And the last question I will ask today is related to forex reserves, right? So हमने ये भी देखा था कि the forex reserves are also falling, right? So we have reached to 580 billion, and this has come down from almost a peak of approximately 650 billion. So there was a time few months back we had touched a very high of 640 billion of dollars in our reserves, and this has now come down to 580 billion dollars, right? And this you know, the next figure that RBI will be releasing, this is most likely to come down even further. Okay, so what has happened? Again, all this is because of RBI trying to support the declining rupee and to fulfill the demand. So in the last two slides, when I was trying to explain the trade deficit increasing and the rupee depreciating, basically all that was happening because of the demand for dollars. So dollars कहाँ से आएंगे? अगर demand हो रही है तो डॉलर आपको कौन देगा? आप या मैं, as citizens of people, we cannot keep dollars with ourselves and start going and selling that in the market, right? So dollars का reserves या dollars की जो कस्टडी होती है वो आरबीआई के पास होती है, या फिर ऑथराइज्ड डीलर्स जिनको आरबीआई ने अलाउ किया है, विच आर मोस्टली द बैंक्स. ओके, उनके पास रहता है. अदरवाइज यू कैन नॉट जस्ट ट्रेड in dollars on your own like that. Small amounts is a different thing, उसके लिए आपको allow किया जाता है personal uses के लिए, but otherwise you cannot store or trade in dollars, right? उसके लिए authorized dealers होते हैं, there are authorized dealers for that, and it all comes and is regulated by RBI, right? So when there is demand, RBI needs to bring that money out. So imagine it like, you know, a cupboard or a तिजोरी आपके पास है, उसमें आपने बफर रखा हुआ है, रिजर्व रखे हैं, या एक्स्ट्रा मनी फॉर बैड टाइम्स रखा हुआ है, एंड अक्यूमुलेट करते जा रहे हैं, राइट? एंड व्हेनेवर देन रिक्वायर्ड आप उसमें से निकाल के देते हैं. सो दीज रिजर्व्स, फॉरेक्स रिजर्व्स आर द फॉरेक्स करेंसीज they are in different formats. 4 elements होते हैं forex reserves को बनाने के. There are 4 components that are there that build up forex reserves, majority being the foreign currency assets, right? That forms the bulk of it. But apart from that, there is gold, there is the STRs that you keep with IMF, and the reserve tranche that we have with IMF. The major bulk comes from the foreign currency assets, जो basically आपकी foreign currencies are different. Again, the majority of it being the dollars. So when that money is required or the dollars ki demand comes up, RBI puts that in the market, makes it available so that the banks can further give it to the people who require it. So it will be given to the importers to make the payments. It would be given to the foreign investors who had brought in money and now want to take it back, right? So that is the reason why forex reserves at RBI have been falling. And actually हमारा build up भी ऐसे ही हुआ था when foreign investors were coming in a lot. That had actually led to the creation also of this forex reserves. Okay, so this is again from a newspaper which is very nicely summarizing over the last 2 weeks the different news and how our currency has moved. So around 30th of June, these two measures were announced by the government, right? Gold import duty was increased and the tax on petroleum exports was raised, right? So these were decisions taken by the government. Okay, so as I was explaining you, the trade deficit has been widening. Yes, one of the bigger reasons is crude oil, but also the gold import, the physical import of the gold was also going up, right? So discourage that. To discourage the import of gold, the duty was increased. It was made more expensive to import, so that when people have to buy and they are demanding it, their demand for gold, they will be able to have to pay much higher. Okay, so the price increases and therefore they will be discouraged to buy, and therefore we are trying to curb the demand for gold. So that was one step that was taken by the government. The other step that the government took was to tax the petroleum exports raised, right? Now this was why, because in our country also we have a lot of demand and it is expensive. So rather than companies trying to earn and make a very good profit by exporting more and more petroleum products, we are taxing that so that they are discouraged from exporting. Rather they provide that in our domestic market, अपनी Indian markets में supply करें ताकि यहाँ पे inflation control हो सके, because petroleum products also direct and indirect वो और सारी commodities and all सारे products जो country में होते हैं उनको भी impact करते हैं. So that were the two steps that were taken by the government. Now what has RBI done? RBI ने 6 जुलाई को एक उनका circular आया था which was related to liberalization of forex flows, right? So ये 6 जुलाई का इनका circular है जिसमें इन्होंने 2 तरीके के steps दिए थे. One was to encourage inflow of foreign money, not just from foreign institutional investors but also from individual investors, right? Or individual investors या फिर remittances को pump up करने के लिए they brought this. So what that was is in our country NRIs, okay, जो Indians है but they are not resident in India, they have either settled abroad or they are people of Indian origin and they remit money in India. So basically that also becomes a source of forex or foreign money coming into our country, right? So RBI ने जब वो लेके आते हैं पैसा, they bring in and deposit in bank accounts. So they cannot to differentiate those bank accounts. There are 2 bank accounts commonly used. One is your FCNR account, which stands for foreign currency non-resident bank account, and okay, and the second is NRE, okay, non-resident external account, NRE account. These are 2 types of bank accounts which NRIs, non-resident Indians or foreign people of Indian origin who are now not living in India, if they bring in money and they want to keep it in India, they can open these with the banks and keep their money in, right? So abhi tak what the rules were there were that there was an upper cap, there was a ceiling, the maximum which the banks can give as interest on these particular accounts, right? So RBI ने कैप किया हुआ था कि आप इतना दे सकते हैं, इसके ऊपर नहीं दे सकते, इसके नीचे ही आपको इंटरेस्ट रेट देना होगा इन बैंक अकाउंट्स के ऊपर. So to now encourage or to attract people for NRIs to bring in more money in India, RBI has removed this ceiling. Okay, so जो ये interest rates, ये वाला जो point है interest rates on FCNR and NRE deposits, इस पे RBI ने relaxation दी है upper limit की, but this is valid till 31st October 2022. So all that money comes after 6th of July until 31st October 2022 will not be subject to the rules of the upper ceiling of interest rates. राइट. सेकेंड, जो आरबीआई ने किया है बैंक्स को एनकरेज करने के लिए ये सब अकाउंट्स ओपन करने के लिए, बिकॉज अगर बैंक्स हायर इंटरेस्ट रेट देंगे उनका भी कुछ फायदा होना चाहिए ना. वाई अदरवाइज वाई विल बैंक वांट टू गिव अ हायर रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट, उनके लिए तो वो कॉस्ट है, राइट. सो टू एनकरेज नाउ बैंक्स ऑल्सो, तो ये अट्रैक्शन हो गया आपके people who are bringing in their money, that you will be able to earn higher if possible. There's a possibility. And banks को help करने के लिए, push करने के लिए कि वो actually attract करें ये accounts, RBI ने ये बोला है कि there are two types of reserves which banks have to maintain. Okay, one is your CRR and the other is your SLR. Right? CRR is cash reserve ratio, SLR is statutory liquidity ratio. ये जो होते हैं as a percentage of your NDTEL. Okay? इन सब terminologies के full form आपको पता होने चाहिए. Okay, for exams कई बार ऐसे MCQs आ जाते हैं. Many times you get such MCQs to write full forms or what these rates are as of now, right? So keep noting these terms down in case you are not aware, and you should be able to give the full forms, right? So what is FCNR full form, NRE full form, CRR full form, NDTL full form, right? All these you should be, you can see in the notification here all these full forms, but you should also be aware, you should be able to remember those if asked, right? So that is important. Okay, so now in a very simple term, NDTL की कैलकुलेशन में कुछ कुछ कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज भी आती हैं, बट अगर बहुत सिंपली आई हैव टू टेल यू व्हाट NDTL इज, इट इज बेसिकली द डिपॉजिट बेस ऑफ द बैंक्स, राइट. सो आपने जो सेविंग बैंक अकाउंट में पैसा रखा, आपने जो करंट अकाउंट में पैसा रखा, आपने अगर कोई फिक्स डिपॉजिट करी, सो ऑल दोज बिकम deposit base for the bank. Now bank uses that money to give loans to other people, right? but वो 100% money use नहीं करते हैं, right? So they have to maintain two reserves, one is CRR and the other is SLR, right? So say for example आपके पास 100 deposit base है बैंक के पास, okay, and आज की डेट में CRR is 4.5%, SLR is 18%. Okay, so इसमें से 100 में से बैंक will have to keep 4.5, okay, and they will have to keep another 18 rupees. Okay, so total 22.5 rupees has gone, right? So now you are left with 77.5. So now this 77.5 that you have, this the bank can use for lending further. Okay, now to encourage banks to attract these FCNR and NRE term deposits, RBI has said whatever money you get here, I will not consider it as a part of this which is your NDTL. So अगर आपके वो NDTL में काउंट नहीं होगा तो आपके पास ज़्यादा रुपए आएंगे to be able to lend. Say for example, ये बैंक की पहले पोजीशन थी, now they get 10 rupees extra or more from the FCNR and NRE deposits. Now they can very easily directly use this for lending, that is 10 rupees 87.5. However, अगर ये रूल नहीं, अगर ये रिलैक्सेशन आरबीआई ने नहीं दिया होता, and in that case what would have happened, they would have been able to use only 7.5 out of this and not the entire 10 or the 100%. So that is the benefit that the banks have got. Why banks want that? Because if they are able to lend more, they will be able to earn more, right? Because इस पे CRR पे बैंक्स को कोई इनकम नहीं होती, there is zero income. And on SLR also it is lower income because ये आप government bonds में invest करते हैं, so the income here is lower than what you can earn by lending money to or corporates or other kind of borrowers. So that's an incentive that has been given to the banks, right? So this is one way to attract more foreign flows, right? So in line with this, many of the banks have actually already started to increase. So some of the banks which increase their deposit rates on foreign currency accounts include HDFC, SBI, ICICI Bank, IDFC First Bank. So these are few of the banks. The other banks have also starting to do this, right? The other way to attract inflows that has been done, so this is from the individual side, this is from the foreign investors side. For foreign investors and foreign money to come in, RBI has allowed FPI, foreign portfolio investors, to invest in the debt market. Some relaxations have been done. It's not like they were not allowed, they are allowed, but there were certain rules. For example, under the fully accessible route. Now what is that? Maybe I'll do another session to explain you exactly how FPIs can invest in India in different ways. So there are different frameworks through which FPIs can invest in India. Three major ones are your medium framework, okay, this first is this medium term framework, the other is your voluntary retention route, and your third is your fully accessible route. So these are three ways in which foreign portfolio investors bring in money in the debt market in India, right? So, and there are certain rules related to it. So these rules have been relaxed to certain extent. What are these three rules relaxed? You can, I have highlighted it in yellow over here. So these certain rules have been relaxed, which again will help FPIs to bring in, or at least attract them to bring in more money in our debt markets. So these are the steps that have been taken by RBI to attract foreign investors so as to push up its forex reserves, and in that effect help our currency from to restrict the decline in our currency, right? The last news that I am discussing today and trying to explain you the interlinkages is related to the international trade settlement in Indian rupees. Okay, 11th July की ये news है when RBI said that Indian rupees can be used to settle trades. Now, settle trades and international trades का क्या मतलब है? Say for example, if I buy, indirectly they have not named Russia, but indirectly it's been helping or indicating that अगर हमें रशिया से import करना है आज की डेट में oil, okay, we want to import oil, we will have to make them payment. We cannot pay them in INR, right? If we want, we can pay them in INR, but the problem with paying them in INR is they will not accept in INR. Why? Because INR is not an acceptable currency worldwide. What we mean by that is, say Russians have Indian rupee today, okay, they accept, but what do? What if they have to now go and buy something from US will not accept INR, or INR stands for Indian rupees, तो हमारी currency है rupees, they may not accept it, right? So then that money becomes useless for Russia, right? So that is why जो अभी तक होते थे ना, it is freely tradable or freely convertible currency is very important. Okay, the biggest being US dollars, euro भी use होती है, yen भी use होता है to a large extent. So these are few fully tradable currencies, convertible currencies in the world which are used. ओके सो अब अगर हम इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड में सेटलमेंट करने के लिए INR भी यूज़ कर सकते हैं, व्हाट हेल्प्स दैट इज नाउ वी डोंट हैव टू बी डिपेंडेंट ऑन डॉलर्स. सो अगर हम इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं एंड अगर मुझे आई कैन पे देम इन रुपी एंड नॉट इन डॉलर्स, आई विल नॉट डिमांड डॉलर्स. सो वन रीजन, द फर्स्ट स्लाइड दैट आई वाज डिस्कसिंग, the trade deficit widening and that having an impact on the depreciation of a currency was because I need more dollars for importing, and that is creating a pressure on my currency. But if I stop demanding dollars for my imports, it will ease the pressure on my currency to some extent. That is the rationale, that is the reason behind this. Okay, so behind this step. So now to be able to do that, I should be able to make payments, and to facilitate making those payments, I need an account, I need a bank account, right? So say for example, there is a Russian company who wants to who is ready to export, or it's supplying oil to us, and we want to pay them in rupees, right? So this Russian company will have a bank account in Russia. Okay, so there's a Russian bank in which they have a bank account in rubles, the currency in Russia. Okay, and here in India, say I have SBI. Okay, and they of course have INR. So this Russian bank will open an account with SBI in which they will keep their rubles in the form of INR. Okay, so they open an account in SBI in INR, in Indian rupees, by converting their rubles into Indian rupees and keep that money. So this money belongs to this Russian bank. Okay, so this account will be known as a Vostro account. Okay, now because they are being opened for the special purpose for allowing international trade settlement, they are being given a name of special rupee Vostro account. So Vostro account in general means any foreign bank trying to open an account with an Indian bank in Indian rupees. Okay, so simply कोई भी फॉरेन बैंक इंडिया में अगर इंडियन रुपीज रखना चाहता है और इंडियन बैंक के साथ अकाउंट खोल रहा है, सो दे कैन ओपन दैट and they don't need any permission to do that, and that kind of account is referred to as a Vostro account. Okay, now because this, to facilitate international trade settlement, this will be done, जहाँ पे INR यूज होगा उसे हम स्पेशल रुपी का नाम दे रहे हैं, to be able to differentiate such Vostro accounts. क्योंकि नॉर्मली Vostro अकाउंट खोलने के लिए आपको RBI की परमिशन की जरूरत नहीं होती है, मतलब एवरी टाइम यू ओपन यू डोंट नीड अ परमिशन. आपको एक बार लाइसेंस मिला हुआ है, देन बैंक्स कैन डू दैट as a regular part of their business. If Forex transactions license you have, you can do that as a normal part of your business. You don't need permission every time from RBI. यहाँ पे लेकिन ये वाला अकाउंट खोलने के लिए आपको RBI से परमिशन लेनी पड़ेगी. You will have to take a special permission from RBI to be able to open this special rupee Vostro account to help settlement in the Indian rupee. Okay, so that is a very important point that has been highlighted. And the second aspect is, when you are doing such transactions, you can use any messaging system that both the banks decide to do that. What that means is, for any messaging international trades happening through banks and settlement happening, the system that is being used is the SWIFT system. Okay, again, you should know the full form of SWIFT. You can write in the comments box if you are aware about this SWIFT system. That is the international messaging system that has been used. However, in this case, where direct special rupee Vostro account are being opened, banks can within them use any other type of messaging system to tell about the transactions taking place. So this will allow direct transactions happening. Now, another aspect that RBI has tried to cover and answer here is, say this Russian bank has kept money here, they have kept money here only to be able to get payments, or that they have earned in INR and they are keeping it till they need that money and convert it back to rubles. But if they are keeping it there to make it attractive, because if they have kept their money, they want to earn. Anybody doesn't want to keep their money idle, है ना. अगर आप उस पर कुछ अर्न नहीं कर रहे हैं तो आप नहीं रखना चाहेंगे. आप क्यों रिस्क लेना चाहेंगे किसी और कंट्री में अपना रुपए रखने का और अपना मनी रखने का, if you are not being able to earn anything on it. So to make it attractive for such people who will be opening a special rupee account, Vostro account with us, and may have excess money in that, RBI has allowed them to invest that excess money in the GSECs, in the government bonds, in the T-bills, so that they can keep earning also on that money that they have kept in the Vostro account. So these are some aspects that RBI has very well thought about and gone ahead with them. The very leakage or the downside that still remains with this is, will it really be attractive for the foreign banks to directly trade and keep the money? Because if they are not able to use this INR earnings anywhere else, they may not be attracted to do the settlement. And the more and more countries accept this, the better possibility of this practically working out will go up. So there are few countries which we think will be interested in doing this, Russia being one of them, UAE being another, with Vietnam being another, and Venezuela also being there. So these are few countries that we think will be interested in doing direct business and settlement without the involvement of the dollar in between. They may have repercussions with our trades with the US. That is another geopolitical risk that will has to be seen over time. Okay, we cannot say what will happen, but definitely these are very good steps that RBI has taken to support the currency currently. Right. So that is all mostly for today's session. I hope you have been able to understand these different news that have been coming out over the last 2 weeks, and more importantly how they are interlinked with each other. They are not in isolation, they all have come out because of a reason, and we keep doing such thought provoking, such discussion based kind of sessions with our idea to help you unfold your own potential, so that you understand and actually bring out the best of you in understanding and becoming good officers in various important regulatory bodies in our country. You also have a chance to interact with myself or our other great faculties like Sushil Ragde sir, Chandra Prakash Joshi sir, Shikha ma'am, Amit sir, Anshul sir, Karan sir, Arunima ma'am, in a face-to-face discussion under our program Extreme B. So Extreme B is India's only online plus offline learning program, which we have started for RBI. We did the first batch for 2022 in New Delhi last in the first half of this year, and in the second half of this year we will be doing our next batch at Pune. So if you are interested to know about this, you can reach out to us on the number you can see on the screen. You already know that the NABARD notification for 2022 is already out. RBI, one needs to start keep preparing, and there's a lot of things that you can prepare together for RBI, NABARD and SEBI. So if you want to take benefit of these three courses together, you can take a combo offer, and it is available at a flat 40% off by using B40. So if you use this coupon code B40, you will be able to get the benefit of the discount on all these three courses, which are very important for your preparation of the regulatory bodies. So that's all from my side today. Happy learning. Keep reading, keep questioning yourself, and keep unfolding your potential always. We are there to help you in case you need any guidance. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that you know about the other upcoming sessions on our YouTube channels. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day. Mr. SPS, yes, we have a course for NABARD A Finance, and I will also be discussing the previous year questions for NABARD A Finance today in one of the sessions. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. Thanks, Vivek, Nikhil, Chandraprakash Joshi sir, for your appreciation.